Welcome to the Bourbon Van. I'm Phil.
I'm Julie. This week we're traveling the Wine Country Whiskey Trail.
When people think of Oregon's Willamette Valley, what usually comes to mind is great wine, aromatic hops, and lots of agriculture. But there's an emerging distillery scene, and several distillers have joined together to create the brand new Wine Country Whiskey Trail, complete with its own passport. The concept is simple. Visit the 6 distilleries, get your passport stamped at each location, and collect a free gift. Sounds like a great way to spend the week to me.
Let's hit the road.
The first stop on our journey is Killdeer Distillery, and they have a real farmhouse approach to the way that they distill. We can't wait to check this out.
Oh yeah, and they have a bunch of cats.
Killdeer is a small family-owned distillery built on a farm. Here's head distiller Colin to tell us a little bit about their distilling philosophy.
We've tried to make things the way we like to drink them. Real approachable whiskeys, approachable gins, things that are fun, always unique. No two batches are ever the same, depending on what we have seasonally and locally and as also globally. Whatever we can get our mitts on, we'd like to play with. We had a customer ask about making sure that the bourbon would be the same next time we came in, and I warned him it wouldn't be. No two batches are ever the same. There's no automation, so it's all touch and feel, smell. It's all sensory driven, and that's kind of how we do it out here. So
We just did a tasting here at Killdeer, and we had quite the assortment. This was super fun. We got to try a vodka, we got to try a gin, we had a bourbon, we had a rye, we got a little sample of their absinthe, which isn't available right now, and also their coffee liqueur. It was a fun tasting. Their bourbon is all sweet corn and honey, and the rye is super balanced. So for me, what I was really excited about are all these other things that I got to try today. I really loved that gin. I'm a gin girl, and I think that's what I'm gonna take home today.
There's also a digital passport program for those who don't care for tactile entertainment. We opted to complete one of each.
It's like the first day of school.
Our next stop on the Wine Country Whiskey Trail is Branch Point Distillery, where this beautiful field of barley will soon be turned into absolutely delicious whiskey. But barley, corn, and rye aren't the only grains you'll find at Branch Point Distillery. We talked to Mitch to learn more about triticale.
Triticale is actually a hybrid grain of rye and wheat. Started originally in Scotland in the 1800s. We actually get ours from a farmer just outside of the Forest Grove area. You'll find a lot of triticale out here in the Willamette Valley, actually, where farmers use it for pig and cattle feed. Not commonly used for much else, but we think it makes a pretty fantastic whiskey.
So we liked it. Mitch was fantastic. We had a great time. We probably overstayed our welcome. They have their own flavor profile, but this is what we decided to take home. So it is a rare and limited Trit whiskey. It comes in at 113 proof, and it's finished in ex-cognac barrels. And of course, if you don't come home with an Oregon whiskey, what are you doing with your life? So we got the straight Oregon whiskey. I'm having a blast so far. This is great.
Well, we usually stay in the van when we're traveling, but it's pretty hot this time of year, and we decided that we were going to stay in the Wine Country Whiskey Trail's partner hotel, the Dundee Hotel. It's right in the middle of everything, has very spacious, well-appointed rooms, has a restaurant that's coming here in the near future, and they also had a pop-up taco cart this morning, which is perfect because we need a good food base, because today it's going to be all about the wine, from the distillery that we go to the vineyard later today. Our next stop on the Oregon Wine Country Whiskey Trail is Ransom Distilling.
And look at these beautiful grounds.
While the vineyards and gardens at Ransom Spirits are impressive, we were even more impressed by their expansive array of whiskeys. Here's Steve to tell us more.
We have a 40-acre farm out in Sheridan where we organically grow rye, barley, and wheat on a rotation. We put everything in Pinot Noir barrels except for our bourbon.
Well, we just finished up our tasting, and here's the bottles that we were bringing home. So for Phil, it's the Emerald, and it's basically an Irish whiskey made in America. How cool is that? And for me, I really wanted to get the rye, but we realized that the rye presence that was so delicious in just their straight rye showed up in some of the other bottles and added such a nice complexity that we ended up going with the rye, barley, wheat whiskey. It's a mouthful, but it's aged in Pinot barrels, and it's delicious. So we might have come for the distilleries, but don't forget, it's the Wine Country Whiskey Trail. And today we're going to check out Celestial Hill Vineyard.
We met up with some friends and enjoyed a laid-back tasting. We even took home a bottle of Pinot because we're in wine country. Why not?
This is a real treat. We're having a private tasting at a beautiful vineyard here at Brixeur Spirits. We're gonna go into this adorable little cottage, and I can't wait.
Brixeur is the distillery at Tresadum Vineyards. The exciting thing about Brixeur is that they finish their whiskeys and some gin in their very own used wine casks. We really enjoyed the way that the whiskey experience changed dramatically with the various wine casks that were used. Here's Tatum to tell us more.
Yeah, so we have three main pillars that we use when we're crafting our spirits. So we start with expression. That's really important to make sure that we have the flavor and aroma expression that we want. And then we go into balance. That's making sure you have enough fruit versus acid versus spice versus the mouthfeel, all of that stuff. And then finally, what we really like to hone in on here is complexity and making spirits that are interesting and make you think and have layers to them. And as you sit and sip or try them in different cocktails, you're gonna get different things out of them.
We had a great time at Brixeur. This place is spectacular, a must visit, and this is what we picked out. So the first thing that we tasted today is the Barrique gin, and you know how I love gin. I'm a sucker for gin, and look at all the botanicals in it. And so my other favorite thing, they do a tremendous rye. The bottle that we decided on was the rye finished in Lhasa Riesling casks.
My favorite thing here was the bourbon. It's a high rye bourbon and it is finished in Pinot Noir casks. It goes for 6 months in a Pinot cask and then 6 months in another Pinot cask. The flavors are huge and unique and delicious, and I fell in love with this one right away. One thing that's always worth stopping for in Oregon is beer. Bierly Brewing makes several delicious beers and has terrific food. The real surprise, it's 100% gluten-free. We took a maple bar to go because breakfast is the most important meal of the day. We also ate one for dinner. And we left with a growler of India Pale Lager.
Next up on the trail, one of our favorites, Run Distilling. We just recently visited their tasting room in Portland, and we can't wait to see what Carlton has to offer.
You never know what to expect when you visit one of Bull Run's tasting rooms. Here's Jen to tell us a little bit about why they love finishing whiskey in wine barrels.
The magic has happened for us of using different barrels and finishing whiskey and giving each type of whiskey a different flavor profile. And you know, we didn't invent wine finishing in Oregon, but we were one of the first to highlight different wineries and different types of barrels, and they've all played a big part in the finished product. I love to see how those casks played with whiskey because with Pinot, it's expressive of its environment, and I felt like that was the same thing that happened with our whiskeys, that it really showed off different vineyards and different types of coopers. We've also got a lot of barrels to play with, which makes each batch different, unique, different alcohol percentage. Just everything is going to be unique to that batch, which is fun.
Well, my favorite thing from Bull Run on this trip, because I got lots of favorite Bull Run stuff, is their Oregon single malt whiskey, aged 9 years in Oregon oak barrels, 100.3 proof, and chocolatey and coffee-tastic. And in the passport, if you get this bottle, you can find a cocktail recipe for an Oregon oaked banana new fashioned, which is genuinely lovely and beautiful. We got to try it here and highly recommend that. My runner-up this time around, by the way, is an 8-year-old American straight whiskey infused with real maple syrup. I'm a maple syrup guy. I love it. Super fun. Everybody's been telling us we need to try this forever, but it's always sold out because it's so popular. We finally got to try it. It's awesome.
And no surprise here, you know how much I love a rye. It's definitely my favorite of the lineup. I've loved everything that I've tried here, but this one is 96% rye, the rest barley, 90.24 proof, and if you haven't tried the rye, you must try it. It's delicious.
If you're looking for a quick or slow meal, Red Hills Market makes an excellent sandwich. Bonus, it's within walking distance from the Dundee Hotel. The next stop on our distillery tour is Ewing Young Distillery, and this is a distillery that shares a property with a thoroughbred farm. So there are horses around. They're having a dog adoption thing today, so there's lots of animals. It is very, very hot, and so for drinks while we're here, Julie chose an old-fashioned. I chose an Arnold Palmer. Of course, hers had rye in it, mine had bourbon in it, and it was just much too hot to do a full flight. But we did find a whiskey that we liked, of course, and it is their Oregon Heritage Oak Bourbon Whiskey. It is a high rye, 21%, aged in charred new oak barrels, of course, and it's 94.7 proof, and we're very excited to take this one home, and what a spectacular place this is. It is beautiful to just be here and enjoy these grounds. You've got the pond here, you've got rocking chairs, you've got the thoroughbred farm. It's just a scene, and I love it. If not for the heat, we would have liked to spend a lot more time at Ewing Young. We will definitely return because the history and the whiskey will bring us back. It was a fitting place to complete the whiskey trail and collect our rewards. We had one more stop to make. Well, we've had a lot of fun so far on the Wine Country Whiskey Trail here in Oregon. We've tried great whiskeys, great wines, great beers, great food. We've met great people, but now it's time for something totally different. And I don't think there's anything more different than that. Today we're at the Evergreen Air and Space Museum here in McMinnville, Oregon. We're going to the museum. That's a water park. Apparently there's a slide that comes out of that plane on top of that building and goes into the building. It's a little too extreme for this trip. Maybe next time.
If I would have known, I would have packed my suit.
You're a little more adventurous than me. I just want to look at the planes and learn about space and stuff. From historic planes to helicopters, rockets, and even lunar landing modules, this is a really interesting museum to explore. But for you Howard Hughes fans, the Spruce Goose is the star of the show. Even if you've never seen the movie The Aviator, you'll still be amazed by the insane size of the largest wooden plane ever built. It literally dwarfs the rest of the collection, and it alone is worth the price of admission.
Well, that was really great, but you could use a good half day to fully explore both the air and the space museums here, but totally worth a stop.
Well, that's the end of our time on the Wine Country Whiskey Trail. The scenery is gorgeous, the people are wonderful, and the whiskey is delicious.
We think you should add this to your whiskey bucket list.
From wherever we are.
To wherever you are.
Cheers.
Cheers!